Hello, this is Pastor Roland checking in to see how you're doing. Remember to keep sending those prayer requests. I love getting prayer requests. Today I want to continue reading from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 8, beginning with verse 23. And Jesus came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to him and asked him to touch him. And Jesus took him by the hand and led him out of town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he could see anything. And the man looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him look up, and he was restored and saw every man clearly. And he sent him away to his house, saying, Neither go into town nor tell it to anyone in town. And Jesus went out and his disciples into the towns of Caesarea Philippi, and by the way he asked his disciples, saying unto them, Whom do men say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others one of the prophets. And he said to them, But who do you say that I am? And Peter answered and said unto him, You are the Christ. And he charged them that they should tell no man of him. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spoke that saying openly. And Peter took him and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned about and looked on his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get you behind me, Satan. For you savorest not the things that are of God, but the things that are of men. And when he had called the people unto him, with his disciples also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. The Gospel of Mark, chapter 8, verses 23 to 38. There's so much there, isn't there? There's an awful lot there. He said, take up your cross and deny yourself. See, what we must do is deny ourselves, which may be almost impossible, which I think is probably impossible to do without God's help. It is impossible without God's help. See, we have our ego, our pride of life is so strong that we find it very difficult to deny ourselves. Have you ever tried to fast for a little while, or to give something up, something that you really like? It's very difficult. And it's especially difficult when you're upset. When you get angry at your husband or at your children or at work, you come home, it's almost impossible to say no to the extra piece of pie, or to the drink, or to the cigarette, or the marijuana, or the chocolate, or the potato chips, you see what I mean? Or to the entertainment, or the movie, or the video game. See? So we must learn to deny ourselves. Now, some down through the ages, monks have tried to live, an ascetic life. But it's not easy. Not easy, and I don't think they're that successful at it, to be honest. I think we need the help of God. So you need to be willing. See, the first thing you need to be willing to give up. Okay, so let's say, how can you do what Christ said, and that's deny yourself? See? And then one time, wasn't it Paul who said, not I, but Christ who lives in me? See? You need to lay down the earthly life, the sensual life, and take up the spiritual life. See? In exchange for giving up your ego, your pride, see? Give up in indulging yourself in resenting other people and judging other people. Instead, you overlook, withhold judgment. See, instead of leaping to judge someone or to be angry at them, instead you bear the pain of just of not indulging yourself, and of overlooking, and of being patient. See, that's what being patient means. So let's talk about that. How to start denying yourself. Okay, I'll give you two very important clues. See, a lot of us, we say, well, I'm going to cut back on eating, and I'm going to exercise more, and I'm going to save money. Okay, we make New Year's resolutions. They never work out. Here's what you do. Okay, the first thing you do, I'll give you something to do, and also a little technology to help you do it. I'll give you both. Let's start with the technology. You need to get my meditation. Okay, without it, I can hardly see. See, people are so lost in their thoughts, and their imagination, and their worries, and their doubts, and their fears. So lost in reliving the past and planning for the future and worrying about things. So lost in their fantasy and their gaming and their texting and their internet and their music. See, they are so lost that it's almost, they're so far from reality. Okay, that they need help, and that's what the meditation is. It's so simple. It's so elegantly and beautifully simple. You can learn it in a few minutes. Begin to practice it. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes in the evening. Okay, but especially in the morning, it teaches you how to sit still, to get into the present. Okay, and to find a state of mind or of soul where you're standing back a little bit standing back from things, standing back from thoughts, from emotions, even from other people. It doesn't mean you won't be friendly and that you can't still work and have recreation and be a good mom and dad and husband, wife, and neighbor, and have friends and all that. Of course you can do that, but just not so lost in the emotions, not so pulled into the excitements and the intrigues and the conversation. See, a little distant. Okay, that's the beginning of being able to deny yourself, as Christ said. Okay, God gives you the power, but with the meditation you learn how to stand back, and in that state of standing back, God gives you the power. You have the power to stand back. Okay? You have the power to stand back a little bit. Okay? You don't need much, a little bit. So you stand back. And after you're done meditating, you go out in the world. Okay? Now here comes a situation. Somebody says something. Before, it would have snuck up on you and you would have gotten upset right away or excited right away. But now you stand back and you watch. Okay? And then you remain patient. Kind of non-responsive, non-reactive. Okay? And the moment passes and you're safe. You didn't fall to the temptation. You didn't say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. See? Now here comes the important one. Somebody says something. Your wife, your husband, or your child does something, or your co-worker does something. And before you would have become resentful. See, resentment is a little bit of hate and a little bit of judgment. And that's how you indulge your ego, your pride, You puff up. Your pride puffs up with judgment. Okay? But now, instead, now that you're a bit more meditative, you stand back. You let the moment pass without indulging the judgment. You overlook, in other words. You overlook. Okay? You don't indulge the resentment. In other words, you remain patient, unmoved, impassive. The moment passes and you're safe. Okay? And the other person, they see it too. They are aware of the fact that you didn't judge them. See? They're so used to you judging them. They see you judge them. And then after you judge them, you feel guilty, so then you're extra nice to make up for the judgment. But instead, this time, you just don't judge them. Maybe if they made an error, maybe they didn't make an error. But if they did make an error, sometimes we imagine they made an error. Okay? Or we're too sensitive because of resentment. See, resentment makes you sensitive. But let's say they did make an error. Okay? You see the error. You discern the error. Okay? But without the judgment or the resentment. See? All right. So that's the beginning of learning to deny yourself. Now, see, it's those moments. See, then you are victorious over the moment instead of failing and falling and hating and resenting and being guilty and then escaping into thinking and compensating. Instead of all of that, you just remain calm, like Bugs Bunny. See, Yosemite Sam gets all upset and resentful over everything. Bugs Bunny remains calm. Doesn't get upset. So now you see the things. And the other thing is to not struggle. See, if you have food issues, or substance issues, or whatever issues you have, spend too much money, eat the wrong kind of food, whatever it is. Just have the attitude of also watching that. Just watch it. See yourself, eating more than you'd like. Okay, but in the past you've always struggled, but the struggling only gives it more power over you, and then eventually what? Then you give in. See, and then you indulge yourself, and then you resent yourself. See. This time you just observe. Okay, so maybe you eat too many potato chips. You see that, but this time you don't. You wish you wouldn't, but you did. You did. So you just watch it. Okay, you just watch those things without struggling. See, that struggle also builds up your ego pride. Okay, and you'd be surprised how. See, it's the anger and the upset and the struggle that actually feeds the condition that makes you crave things even more. See, when you fail to be patient with your kids and you resent your husband and you see all these things, then what? Then you comfort yourself with food, for example. Just for example. See? But if you didn't become upset in the first place, if you didn't become judgmental or resentful in the first place, then you wouldn't be upset. And then you wouldn't need that indulgence, that escape, that comfort for your see your pride, that prideful beast in you, that beast of pride grows through your anger and your judgment of other people and resentment. And then it wants to be fed more judgment, more anger, and those substances that help you to deny reality. So we eat to deny, we drink to deny, we party to deny. See? Everything to deny. Got it? All right. So now you begin. I've given you some good clues. The meditation. My easy meditation is free. Okay? You should get it. It's free. Give it a try. And then, with the help of the meditation, go out in the world with a little bit of a distant feeling. Go through life without being so reactive. You'll be calmer. Everybody will be glad that you were calmer, including yourself. Okay? And things will begin to improve. Your life will begin to improve. You'll have more control instead of less control. And you'll fall apart less. You'll fail less. See? You won't be walking on the water in the beginning. You'll still fail. But this time, okay, so you fail. Maybe you won't fail as much. Yeah, you fail a little bit. And now the other thing is this time when you fail, you'll see yourself failing. You see that you failed, but you won't hate yourself. See, that's the other thing. Don't resent yourself for failing. Just see it. Just observe it. Observation. See, with this new something that's added, which is from God actually. It's God's light. With it there, you now see things in His light. And just the observation has a nice effect upon them. See, you don't have to struggle with them. It doesn't help. It makes them stronger. So in the same way as you can take a dirty towel and hang it out on the laundry line, and the warm sunshine shines on it, and afterwards it's all fresh and clean from the sunshine. Something similar happens when you begin to meditate properly and you begin to have God's light, see, in your life, so that it can be applied to things. And shine on things. And so instead of sweeping everything under the carpet and then rushing off and hiding in your music or your imagination and your food and your marijuana, now you're in reality. God's light shines on everything. Makes everything better. Okay? My name is Pastor Roland.